Ah, what a good morning without any dramatic events. Oh no, emotional support demon. How did you get the emotional support sword out of its sheath? Oh no, little baby, you can't be running around with swords like that. Here, let Papa Click educate you on how to properly stab your enemies.
Yeah. Okay, see, so you just hold it steadily with your little toe beans, and then you swing it with the sharp end towards the enemy you want to murder. Do you understand? Oh, very good, boy, you're such a good stabber. Good evening, laddies, lazzas, and lazzos. Welcome to the Click. You smell absolutely astounding today, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. I think if I casually toss the sword over my shoulder, it's gonna be bad news for everyone. Well, I have found this beautiful, amazing subreddit that I figured we would look through together while also smelling Margaret. You smell very nice today, Margaret. That's part of the entertainment. We just smell you, Margaret, while looking through this beautiful subreddit. Oh, yes, indeed. That is wholesome vibes. No one can tell me otherwise. And the subreddit in question is r/TooAfraidToAsk. The internet is beautiful in that way, that it leaves some people completely uncensored. Questions you would never think to ask your friends or family because they're just too unhinged, or too awkward, or make you sound too stupid, or whatever it might be. But here we have them, completely unfiltered. The human experience through, well, objective lens might not be the case, but like an unfiltered lens at least, whatever that means. Enjoy. Mwah. r/TooAfraidToAsk. Would it be illegal for me to send a scammer, who claims to have videos of me doing the self-naughties, videos of me doing the self-naughties? Oh man, this is gonna be a good video, isn't it? This is under the category law and government. Okay, I love this video already. I want to know if it would be illegal to assert dominance. Well, even with, like, legality out the window, that sure is a way to just call their bluff, isn't it? Oh, I have a video of you doing this. Have another one. Woohoo! Okay, full disclaimer, I am a meme reader, not a lawyer, and also I wouldn't, like, encourage anyone to do anything stupid or whatever, but as long as everyone is an adult, I guess it's fine, and even if it lands under some sort of, like, a harassment category or whatever, I seriously doubt the scammer who was trying to blackmail people with nudes would call the cops, you know? That's the beautiful thing in this situation. What did they say in Breaking Bad? It's something like, I love robbing criminals because they never call the cops. And I feel like this lands in a very similar category, I suppose. Illegal to assert dominance. This reminds me so much of the joke I've said in many videos that if someone ever leaks like nudes of me or something, I would just use it to jumpstart like an OnlyFans career or something. Just ride that sweet clout wave and then just retire. Gorgeous. Why are so many poly people generally unattractive? Man, you can tell this is like a TooAfraidToAsk subreddit because, like, there is no way people would formulate these questions the way they are doing if they actually had their name attached to it. Oh my god, man. I don't mean to cast shade, but generally speaking, all the poly couples I met IRL or met on Tinder tend to be, well, pretty unattractive, or at least by general standards. Like, many of them are overweight, tend to look like they haven't showered in months, and their hair are like a mess. What kind of people are you matching with on Tinder, man? What? Even my own cousin, who is a great person, is poly, but honestly, he's kind of ugly. Maybe it's just my own experiences, but almost every single poly person I've met or seen personally are unattractive. The attractive poly people probably don't have to advertise that they're looking for people to hook up with, because they get approached IRL. The best restaurants I've ever eaten at didn't need to advertise. Still impossible to get a table there because everybody wants in. Same thing with video game ads. If you judged games by who advertises on Reddit, you would think that there's nothing out there but idle clickers and that zombie defense trash. Basically, hot people be fricking. Man, what a wild question. Honestly, I think part of it might also be that when you talk about, like, unattractive and that sort of stuff, I mean, sure, haven't showered in a month might be like a universal thing. People generally don't like smelly stuff. But otherwise, I would imagine that people who don't fall like very specific, typical relationship norms might also be more likely to be into things that aren't typical, if that makes sense. Maybe they are statistically more into things that are deemed more alternative or whatever, which you, if you are not into that kind of stuff, would deem as not conventionally attractive. That is entirely possible. Attraction is incredibly subjective. But then also maybe it is like what the commenter said, that, you know, restaurants that are hot, I guess, have people that always want to be inside. Man, that sounded better in my head. Can you inflate a woman's womb with a balloon to make her look pregnant? Man, we go directly between, like, really outrageous stuff, scamming scammers, pretty rude, like, formulated relationship questions, and then it's, like, the kind of stuff I would expect in some American parody lawyer movie. Oh my god. Please bear with me. Could you stretch the uterus by gradually inflating a balloon inside a womb over the span of 9 months? Would it trigger a fake pregnancy? What do you mean trigger a fake pregnancy? What does that mean? Like you're gonna give birth to the balloon after a while? And if so, would the woman's body try to give birth to the balloon? Oh, that's exactly where it went. Oh my god. After 9 months pass, or the balloon gets to a certain size, would it be more or less dangerous than a real pregnancy? Does the uterus have to be stretched gradually, or could you pump the woman to the 9-month size in 1 day? Oh man, this is some like mad scientist in a basement just casually asking Reddit questions. Pregnancy doesn't occur because the uterus is expanding. The uterus expands because of pregnancy. You cannot fool the body into thinking it's pregnant by inflating the uterus. The process of conception and implantation would have to occur, which triggers hormones and other pregnancy-related bodily functions. The embryo grows, which is why the uterus grows. None of that occurs without an actual fetus. So no, you cannot do any of the things you asked. This just reminds me of those things where you can, like, for example, stretch out an ear. You know, by having really heavy earrings, and that, like, after a while permanently changes the way your ear looks. It reminds me of that. It's like, how can I look pregnant for the rest of my life? Can we do this super gradually? Oh my god. When women sit down, do they sit on their vajayjay? It is right underneath them, right? So when women sit down on a chair, are they sitting on their vajayjay a bit? I can honestly say I've never once thought about that, and I have a vajayjay. The vajayjay is inside, by the way. The vulva is outside. So when I sit, my booty cheeks and thighs kind of form a little cushion underneath me. So my vulva is not touching the chair or whatever I'm sitting on. Now, if I spread my legs and lean forward a little, then yeah, I would be sitting on it, I guess. And if my legs are a little spread, my butt cheeks kind of lift me up a little so my stuff still isn't touching the seat. Honestly, solid question. Oh my god, have we bumped into the corner of the internet that actually contains wholesome women's anatomy? This is amazing. Oh my god, I like this subreddit already. Some of it makes me uncomfortable, but man, this is a good one. Did you know that this video is proudly sponsored by Raycons, baby? Woohoo! Are you looking for a Black Friday deal you will appreciate every day? Then you have found it with Raycon's Everyday Earbuds. Raycon's Everyday Earbuds also come with active noise cancellation. This feature is a must-have on my trips or when I go to the gym and just want to be left alone in my little sweaty corner. And they are available at an accessible price point. Wow! You can even see me sneakily wearing my little Raycons in my shameless flex pictures at the gym. Oh, clicky thicky. Man, this script is already amazing. They also offer 32 hours of battery life, a quick charge function, 10 minutes of charging yields 90 minutes of battery, and a very nice ergonomic design to comfortably fit the widest range of ears and optimized gel tips for a cozy custom fit. And if you're a little gym bro like me, it's also good that they are weatherproof and sweat resistant. Oh yes, indeed, you little moist boy. Also pay close attention to this beautiful protective case cover on my Raycon Everyday Earbuds. They come in many different colors and patterns. Beauts. And they not only look great, they also support wireless charging. It is time to save big for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Go to buyraycon.com/to-click today to get up to 30% off site-wide. That is right, you'll get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/to-click. Thank you so much, Raycon, for sponsoring this video. Make sure to check them out in the description. And now, back to the memes. Mwah. How am I supposed to work a 9 to 5, eat healthy, work out, have hobbies, maintain my relationships, and get enough sleep? The trick is that you choose 2 if you're lucky. I work my 9 to 5. It's more a 9 to 6. Eat healthy 80% of the time. I try to work out. I am shooting for 3 times a week, but it's tough since I don't seem to have the energy for it. Get enough sleep, which doesn't work out most of the time, and I try to maintain my relationships. I get so tired easily, and there is no energy left to pursue personal projects. And I am behind on my chores as well. But it's not just the energy levels, but the time as well. I don't understand how I'm supposed to fit everything into a day or week. I don't know if I should add that I got diagnosed with ADHD, and meds don't seem to work for me. This also comes with executive dysfunction, making me have to give 100% for small things like doing the dishes. When it comes to ADHD, I'm by no means an expert, but I have known people close to me that have gone through it, for example, in the academy. And one very typical thing that happens is that they have to spend a lot of time getting through chores that are typically much less time-consuming for other people, which is a real challenge. I think also when it comes to medication, you typically have to go through a few different ones until you find one that works for you. So if you're just like on the first one, there is still hope that it is going to work if you just stick to like the progress, even though it can be very slow and tedious. So this is definitely something that can affect this kind of stuff. Your description of the way life feels perfectly fits in on people I have known with ADHD when they were in the academy before they got help for it. Edit, I read almost every comment so far, and since a bunch of people ask me if it's a medical thing, I go to health checkups regularly, and apparently I am healthy. I take iron and folic acid supplements because I don't eat meat. I'm also taking vitamin D supplements since it's rarely sunny where I live. Might be some mental health thing, but I don't know. I'm on a 6 to 9 month waiting list. Yeah, that's the thing. Like the waiting list for getting ADHD checkups and that sort of thing is absolutely monstrous. Another thing, remote work. My jobs allow me to work from home up to 3 times a week. I do that at least once a week, but whenever I work from home, I am very unproductive because I can't focus for poo, so I go to the office a lot. One thing that can help, even if you're technically working from home, I do this sometimes too since I run my little business and professionally read memes and all that kind of stuff, go somewhere else. Changing scenery, even if you're technically working from home, can help a lot. It can be as simple as sitting in another room that doesn't have as much distractions, or go to a local library, go to a cafe, anything like that. It can really help you focus because you sort of disconnect physically from the space where you usually relax. That can be very helpful. Children, I don't have any, and don't want any. My partner, I have a boyfriend, but we don't live together. I meet him every weekend at his place, so I can't use that time for my hobbies or chores that piled up. Many people say they have a spouse at home, so chores get split up, but that's not an option I have for mentioned reasons. ADHD is something that makes stuff like this way more difficult than it should be. The best lecture I ever listened to about, for example, ADHD and people that don't understand it is that ADHD is very much like erectile dysfunction. It doesn't matter like how attractive the thing in front of you is, like you literally cannot do it. There is a blocker somewhere in your body that tells you like, no, I can't do this thing. And that is basically ADHD and productivity or chores. It's a really, really nasty bump to overcome. And some of this stuff you can try to tackle even before you're waiting for it, like trying to leave the house, for example. If specifically being at home is the very unproductive part, you can also try to do very small things. Like the best example I saw for being productive in the house, for example, that someone was writing about, is to take the small victories. Is your dishwasher half full with clean dishes, and you have a couple of things you want to dish, but it feels like it's too much to pick out all the dishes and then put in everything? Just squeeze in the stuff that is dirty and run it again. Everything is still clean. It is fine. Glass half full. You have a bunch of laundry to do. Well, do one laundry then. Just run the machine once. That is perfectly fine. Doesn't matter if you do everything. Or for example, when it comes to cleaning your apartment or house, take baby steps. Something like vacuum one room, or like pick up the dishes in one place or something like that. Do small steps, because one thing that can very easily impair yourself getting started in the first place is building it up too big in your head. It's kind of like when stuff gets too large, so you paralyze yourself from taking any action. It's stuff like, oh, I need to clean my kitchen, but to clean my kitchen I need to run the recycling, but to run the recycling I need to start the car, but it's cold outside, so to start the car I need to go and turn on the heater, but to turn on the heater I have to get the extension cable, and the extension cable is out in the garage, and for that I have to go get this key. Oh my god, I don't remember where I put this key at. Maybe it's in my other pants. Oh right, the pants are dirty. Maybe they're in the washer. I need to start the washing machine. I have laundry to do. And all of a sudden, you've created on a mental level like 50 different steps for yourself, and of course you're not going to get anything done. Then you just lay there being anxious while moving nothing in your body. Do small things. Baby steps. Vacuum a single room. Take care of like a couple of dishes. Do small steps. And also when it comes to productivity, try leaving the house even if you're working from home, at least for like half the day. Maybe that can help, but ADHD is a bitch to deal with, and I wish waiting times didn't exist because, man, I see people suffer with that stuff way too often. It is so common, and it is ridiculous that it takes so long. Does sitting on a guy's boner hurt him?
So recently I was hanging out with friends, and we were watching a movie on the couch. I was sitting on a male friend's lap, which he didn't mind since I'm a pretty small girl. At one point in the movie there was a scene where a girl was running around topless, and I felt something grow under my buttocks. Took me a bit, but I realized he had a badoing. I didn't care much about that, but I was a bit concerned that maybe me sitting on it was painful. I think bro is fine. I didn't end up asking him though, since we had friends around and it was pretty comfy. That would have been the funniest thing ever though. Can you imagine that? Oh, hey there, buddy. I noticed you got a little badoing underneath me there watching this movie. Do you mind me still sitting on it? Like loudly and confidently in front of the whole room. Oh man, I would have been traumatized for life. But I'm still wondering if I should avoid sitting on laps from now on. I think bro is absolutely fine, okay? This sounds like, for most dudes in this position, sounds like it would be kind of a blessing, you know? This is the kind of, like a teenager fantasy. I think he's fine. One very good way, at least, that I have realized when you can gauge if someone is uncomfortable when you're, for example, cuddling, or you have some weight on each other and that kind of stuff, even if people don't say anything, you can usually tell when they're getting uncomfortable, or a part of their body gets tired from it because they, like, start to, like, compensate for it in a way, or they scooch around a bit, that kind of stuff. It's typically very easy to notice, and if you're a very petite person and you're sitting on top of him and he's not making any noise or moving or doing no adjustments whatsoever, he's probably very happy, okay? He's very happy. Is it rude to grab a girl's stomach fat during the naughties? I was doing the naughties with a bigger girl, which I do not mind at all. We were having naughties on our side in a cradle position. During the naughties, I grabbed her tummy and just things I cannot read on YouTube. Then we fell asleep. But the next day she seemed upset and offended when she brought it up, asking why I did that. It was honestly just a heat of the moment thing, and I thought it was hot. Tell her you thought it was hot, dude. Indeed, tell her. Yeah, I think she'll be perfectly fine. You're like, man, it was just so hot. I love your body, and that thing, that was so hot to me. That was so hot. Oh my God, you're beautiful. That would have been BAM! Booyah! Communication. Communication is incredibly important. Oh my God, yes. Whisper it in her ear. Let me grab on those naughty mounts. Maybe not that. They're just bonus boobs. What's the problem? This is the attitude. Hell yeah. Am I, 19F, and my friend 18F getting human trafficked by our new love interest? What should we do? Damn, the contrast between these posts is absolutely astounding. Like, oh my God, does it hurt a boy if I sit on his lap? Versus like, hey, are we about to get trafficked? Oh my God. One day, my friend was at work in a bar when suddenly two men, 31M and 35M, came up to her and invited her to Ibiza, and you're 19 and 18. That is already pretty red flags, okay? Like, men of that age that purposefully seek out people who are like barely legal is very red flag to begin with. Like, technically, everyone is an adult, but you are in vastly different stages of life. This is already a red flag if they specifically seek you out. Also promised to pay for tickets and everything. She refused, but still gave them her socials. Okay, that's good that you refused at least, but you should have also stonewalled the contact. This is really shady, especially since they want to like fly you away the first thing they do. That sounds very isolating. My friend made an arrangement with them that they come back to our country next week to meet us both. They ended up coming. We partied with them, they paid for everything. Also stayed the night at their hotel. We ended up doing stuff with them too. The next day they gave us their credit card so we could go shopping. We spent over $1,000 in total because they said to max their cards out. When we came back they seemed a bit pissed that we spent so little. Went out again the same evening and they left the next day. Now they want us to go on a short trip to their country. We're being skeptical and paranoid because we know about the stranger danger and human trafficking. Everything seems too good to be true. Your gut feeling is your body's estimate of stuff that is happening around you. It can be everything from like, kind of sussy environments to small social cues that are too little to notice on like an objective level, but you still pick up on these tiny signals and the vibes are off. Gut feelings are incredibly important. One thing I have found in later years is that gut feeling are very often correct or at the very least hint towards something that is wrong. A weird thing I have noticed is that they have a huge amount of followers but so small amount of likes. Okay, so they have botted their social media accounts to seem more legitimate than they actually are. There are so many red flags in this. There are so many red flags. Also, when we check their followers and likes, it seems like most of them are bots. Also, we're unable to find anything about one of them on the internet. Yeah, so one of them has a fake influencer profile that they bought followers for to make it seem legit, and it's probably not even the real name, if I'm gonna be honest. This is a cover story, okay? And the fact that the other one doesn't exist means that these are very, very shady people that don't want to be traced. When I sent a picture of me and my cousins the other day, one of them said that I should bring them as well, that he's gonna pay for everything. Yeah, this is traffickers, man. This is traffickers. This is really bad. We told them that we don't want to come just yet, because we don't know them that well. Now they're planning their next visit to our country for the next weekend. Another weird thing that this time they want to rent an Airbnb in a forest. Yeah, that's not good news. That's not good news. If I'm gonna be honest, if you go to that Airbnb, you're gonna fall asleep and you're gonna wake up in another country. Like, not even kidding. This is really bad. Block these people. Block them. Report this to the police. This is super bad. It is so sketchy. What do you guys think or suggest? Edit forgot to mention they have kids too. Are you sure about that? Are you sure it's real or just not faked pictures? Because none of this seems real at all. Also, I know we've been stupid, but it's too late for regrets now. No, it's not. Block everything. Block everything. I hope you didn't give them any personal information or anything like that, but block them. Move on. Cut all connections. This is super, super shady. Any one of you asking, do they know personal information about us? Luckily, they don't know my last name, but I'm sure as hell they know where I live because of Snapchat. Block everything. Delete everything. Call the cops on this. This is super sus. This is bad. This is like all of the red flags you can imagine. These are men that are almost twice your age that want you to fly you out to their country. They have fake profiles online that are probably not even the real names. The other one is a ghost online, okay? So these are people that are very keen on hiding their real identity, where they come from, what their work is, etc. They also have suspicious amounts of money, which is also strange for someone who's completely invisible online. Usually, if you're like successful business or whatever like that on a legitimate level, at least they would have some sort of footprint, right? They would have some footprint on a company website, or maybe they would have a footprint on LinkedIn at the very least, or Facebook or some oldie social media, but like nothing? And the only thing you can find is a botted Instagram thing. These people are like scam artists at best, and at worst they're traffickers. This is super shady and super bad. And they're also love bombing you to make sure that your judgment is clouded. They're going after people that are way too young for them. That they're going after girls that are like half their age, barely legal, right? They're specifically targeting that because it's technically not illegal to bring a 18-year-old home, so it's not gonna get them in trouble right off the bat, but it's way easier to manipulate. This is why they do it. This is predatory. And they also want you to bring you to an Airbnb out in the forest as well as fly you to their country. This is isolation tactics one-on-one. This is something you see with traffickers. This is something you see with very abusive partners, for example, isolating any sort of support network when shit actually hits the fan. This is really bad. The fact that your gut feeling is going off is entirely correct. You should block these people, report them, and call the police. This is super, super sketchy and shady. Stay safe, please. And don't send them any more information or pictures. This is super dangerous. And also, let your parents know, please. I know that you might think it's shady, like, oh my god, will my parents be judgy that I did some stuff with an older man or whatever? But your parents would like to know. Let the people around you know that you've been in contact with these sort of people. That is the support network that is going to keep you safe. Keep people informed. One thing, I know this rant is getting a bit long, okay? But one thing that is very true about these sort of people, but also like, for example, abusers, is that they love it when you're alone. They love it when you, for example, feel like, oh, I've done something bad, so I can't tell anyone about this. Or, for example, you feel shame or something along those lines. They love that. They love to keep you alone because that's how they exert control. The moment that more people know about it, for example, is when their little control scheme shatters. There's a cat meowing. Speaking of lighthearted topics, Simba, do you want to be in video?
He's a big boy.
I'm gonna teach you how to sword fight and film it for content. I don't think that would be a good idea for YouTube. What do you say, Simba? Do you consent to this? I feel like he's judging me. I'm gonna put you on the cat couch. He loves memes, trust me. I had the best naughty stuff of my life, but it makes me worried about myself. So me, 36M, and my GF, 32F, have been together for around a year. We have had plenty of adult stuff in this time, and I asked her if there's anything she wants us to do, and what we haven't done yet. She goes silent for a while, and then says, I would like us to pretend that, okay, so basically, CNC.
right? I can't read all this stuff out loud, basically, but they're like, oh my god, it was so good, blah, 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 but now I'm having thoughts, am I actually a bad person because I would like this kind of stuff, you know? That's basically the post, okay? I think you get the gist. It is a fairly common fantasy. Unless it made you want to go around and assaulting people, I would not worry about it. There's a vast difference between like fantasies in a controlled environment or fantasies in theory versus doing something for real. I usually like to compare this kind of stuff to, for example, video games. I love playing Fallout, running around like a badass in the post-apocalypse, not having to pay rent, just take what you want and choose for the day if you want to be good or bad or whatever. Absolutely astounding. Beautiful. Would I like to live in a post-apocalyptic world IRL? Well, no, because all the bad stuff that you can ignore because it's in a video game all of a sudden are harsh reality. Like, damn, there's not going to be anywhere to shower, for example. The moment you get an infection, you're going to get super sick, die, or if you're lucky, you have a couple of months of recovery. In the game, you can just go to a doctor, pay 5 caps, and suddenly you're magically good. You know, it's a game and a fantasy for a reason because you can explore things without the downsides that would come with the reality of the situation. And the same thing is true with stuff like this, I suppose. She is comfortable doing this with you because you have talked about it beforehand, you have a safe word and all that kind of stuff. It is in a controlled, safe environment, just like it's a controlled, safe environment to play a post-apocalyptic game and you're not actually gonna get shot in the face. You know, there's a vast difference between experiencing fantasies and curated versions of something and enjoying like the fun of that versus actually doing it with everything that comes with the reality of it. You're perfectly fine. Like the commenter said, unless this makes you actually consider go out and do horrible things, you're perfectly fine, okay? There's plenty of people that do this kind of stuff. Manipulative girlfriend got preggo behind my back without my consent. What do? I was seeing this girl for a while. I helped her out a lot with bills and money, and for 7 months she refused to help me back. And it's been months of lying, false promises, and I have been living in misery about the money she owes me. We have never done the deed, but last night she just informed me that after she once gave me a BJ, she did the hot tour and then utilized that to get the baby factory going. Basically, that sounds wild. I don't believe this. Because that was the only way she thought I would stay with her. I never consented to this, and she's trying to ruin my life by making me responsible for a kid I never even consented to having. Can I pursue legal action? What do? I've never heard of a spit baby, bro. This chick's many leagues of crazy. She is batshit at an Olympic level. Run. Just run. And there is also the aspect of like human splooshies are very, very sensitive. I don't believe they fare particularly well in human spit. I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. It is very, very, very unlikely that she's being truthful. And like you said, she already has a track record of lying. I would say it's 99% chance that this is either someone else's kid or she's lying about the pregnancy as a whole. One of the two. I would just tell her, well, if you really want to push this case, I will ask for a DNA test and then block her. That's what I would do. This is nothing but trouble. I mean, she literally tried to baby trap you, and 99% the baby isn't even yours. She tried to baby trap you with someone else's baby. No, run, which also means she cheated. So like this is this is so bad on every level. Am I 16F being groomed? So a bit of a, of course, content warning for this post, but I think it's very important to talk about these things online because awareness needs to be higher regarding these topics. There are a lot of dangers in the modern world that don't even have to happen physically to begin with. And also, if you're unlucky and come from a household where parents, for example, aren't very technologically literate, they might not be aware that stuff like this can happen. So very important to talk about, but a small content warning before we get into this post. I am too scared to talk to anyone I know IRL. I am sorry if I wrote too much. I met this guy on Snapchat when I was 14, and he was 28. This is already massive warning signs, okay? What this guy is doing, trying to like pick up someone who's half his age and massively underage, is already incredibly not legal, okay? This is already right off the bat hyper super duper bad. We became pretty much friends. He moved to my country from his home country, so that was a fun topic of discussion. He lives in a small city next to mine. He didn't seem romantic, only platonic. He even told me that he had a girlfriend and showed me photos of them, etc. Then, when I was 15, he told me that his girlfriend cheated on him. I just tried to sympathize. I had given him my number at that point and we often sent each other funny videos, etc. Okay, there is this post we had in a previous video that I'm gonna reference because I think it speaks very well to this kind of stuff. When 40-year-old dudes pick up 18-year-old girls, they're like, oh my god, these 18-year-old girls are so mature, ready to be a wife and everything. But you would never catch this 40-year-old dude going out with their 18-year-old guy friends.
It's because they see the 18-year-old guys as kids. That's the reality of the situation. This dude would never have a bunch of 15-year-old friends who are dudes. That is like the first warning sign. He does not have good intentions with this relationship. Of course, there can be like gaming groups, for example, where people are like different ages and stuff. That can certainly happen, but it's not the same kind of vibe as a very close one-to-one conversation. If you want to gauge if a guy like this has bad intentions, just ask yourself if you can picture him befriending 14-year-old boys. Like genuine friends. And if the answer is no, then what interest does he have with you? That's a pretty good way of thinking about it. Then a few weeks before I turned 16, he confessed to me that he had feelings for me and I did not expect it. But I said I like him too. I did like him, but it felt just a little weird and I think part of me was a little attention depraved. And also, you're a teenager. You're like going through puberty. You have no experience with relationships and hormones and feelings and stuff will be all over the place. That is perfectly normal. He is the bad person for taking advantage of this stuff. That is the bad part. No one is blaming you, and if someone is, they are entirely in the wrong. I asked him about our age gap, and he said that it doesn't matter. It's just a number, and prison is just a place. And that he doesn't think about it. Very, very convenient. Maybe he should think about it a little bit more. He said that all that matters is that he treats me well, and he said he would. Ooh woo, I promise you, Discord kitten, that I will treat you well. Totally pinky swear. Says the guy that is literally trying to pick up people half his age on Discord. Man. I wonder why I don't trust this dude's words particularly deeply. So then we started dating, I guess. He was very, very nice and reminded me a lot that he cares about me and that I can talk to him whenever. I was struggling with anxiety. And he was pretty overwhelmingly affectionate, but it made me feel good. It is still happening. He said that he loves me pretty soon after, and I said it back even though I wasn't exactly sure how I felt yet. Then only a while after my birthday, now I'm 16 and he's 30, he asked me if we could meet up. I was nervous because my parent would never let me and it felt a bit wrong. And they are right in not letting you, but you should really talk to your parents about this, okay? They really have your best interest at heart. There's a reason why they want to protect you from this stuff, and it is because he's twice your age and he's very, very much grooming you and taking advantage of you. This is really bad. And the fact that you're writing this is really good because it means that you suspect that something is wrong, but you are allowed to talk to people in your vicinity. And if your parents are halfway decent people, they are gonna have your side and they are going to protect you. You are a victim in this situation and you haven't done anything wrong. He is the one who has manipulated you. But he kept asking, but he was also respectful, and he said that he has a few gifts to give me as late birthday gifts. So I said yes. A few weeks later, we met. I lied to my parents that I went out with friends, and I know it's messed up, but I didn't know what to do. Okay, you being a teenager and like lying to your parents and that kind of stuff comes nowhere near the fact that he is literally grooming someone half his age. Your crimes in this situation are like non-existent. Oh my god, when we were teenagers, like we would lie to our parents or all kind of stuff. Like, yeah, totally I went to bed on time. We totally weren't trying to drink beer when we were 17 and so on and so forth. Like, this is such small, petty, innocent stuff. It is not comparable. Not in the least. We met, this was now 2 days ago, at a mall near my place, and he bought me and himself ice cream, and we ate it at a park, and then we walked and talked. He seemed sweet, other than he seemed a bit tense, but I reckon he was nervous. Yeah, he was nervous about police. He's literally nervous about Chris Hansen jumping out of a bush. That is why he's nervous. At least he told me that he's a bit shy, so I empathized. Yeah, he's shy from Chris Hansen. He said that I looked beautiful when we first said hi. He also told me that he had prepared to tell me 2 reasons as to why he likes me so much, which is 1, I am really nice and I've never gotten angry at him, and 2, I don't drink. Okay, well, number 2, you're literally not legally allowed to drink. I'm assuming, like in Germany you can hit the pubs when you're 16, but I'm assuming you're not legally allowed to drink yet. And even if you are, it hasn't been particularly long, right? Not everyone hits the pub the day they turn the age where you're allowed to hit the pubs, okay? Number 1, I'm really nice and never gotten angry with him. This is why people like this like to be predatory towards younger people, because they know they're way less likely to say no. They are way easier to manipulate, they're way easier to push around, they're way easier to get control over because they don't have like their own finances, they don't have a lot of life experience, and so on and so forth. Both of these points, why he likes you, are massive red flags in themselves. Oh my god. I found that very sweet, but I don't know if it's weird. Yes, it is weird. And then he mentioned my mom and how she seems like a spy, in a lighthearted way. It was because my mom checks my phone sometimes, and I would have to hide his contact. And I just agreed, and then he said something like, "Don't worry, I will protect you from her." Which made me feel a bit better. Okay, no. The reason he's saying that he will protect you from your mom isn't because he has your best interest at heart. This is an isolation strategy. He wants to push people away that are the closest to you so he can replace them. That is what he's doing. And even if you were the same age, like hypothetically if they were both in their 30s or whatever, this would still be really bad. That would still be abusive territory because that's what a person does when they really want to isolate someone and make them entirely dependent on them. Because once that happens, you can do whatever you want with this person and push them around and blah, blah, blah. It is a really scary thing, and it gets even scarier when one person is like literally a minor. This is absolutely terrifying. He's trying to isolate you. He doesn't have your best interests at heart. And the thing with these kind of people is that once you are isolated, once, for example, your mother would hypothetically be out of the picture for looking through your phone or whatever, that's when he would change. He wouldn't remain Mr. Nice Guy forever, only to the point where you have become entirely dependent on him. That's how these people operate. They have a switch, and once you have no other options, they change. So when I left, he texted me afterwards saying that it was nice meeting me, and he confessed that he wanted to hold hands, but he was too shy to ask. And I said that's okay, and next time we can. Yeah, no, he wasn't too shy, he was too scared about being confronted in public or like a literal police officer seeing it. Okay? No. At home I opened the gifts and he got me a necklace with my favorite color, a teddy bear and a t-shirt. They were thoughtful gifts and things he knew I liked, and I found it so sweet. But I don't know how to feel. And at the bottom of the bag I found one of those things to measure ring size, and he texted me saying we will need it later. And even though I liked it, I feel like that was too early to even lightheartedly say or do that. I don't know. This is love bombing. This is also an abuser or predator strategy that they do to put their victims' guards down. He will seem like the perfect partner that life opens up, that you can get anything you want, etc, etc. But, you know, he's also pushing away your parents with the guise of protecting you, for example. He's not gonna keep giving you this stuff. And the fact that your warning signals are going off, that you have a bad gut feeling about this, is for a good reason. This is really shady behavior. This isn't reality. This is a manipulation strategy. He does this to gain control over you. He does this to cloud your judgment and make you more likely to choose him over someone else when push comes to shove. This is love bombing. It's a one-on-one abuser strat. He has never done or said anything related to intimacy or weird yet, and he's making me feel like he's genuinely nice. No, it's because he doesn't want legally incriminating stuff in writing. The same reason why he doesn't hold your hand in public, because if anyone sees it, it looks really, really bad. You know, this can get him in trouble, and rightfully so. He's not gonna be genuinely nice. He's not gonna be nice until he has isolated you. Call the cops, tell your parents, block him. This is dangerous, and no one knowing about it makes it even more dangerous. Only thing was that when we were still friends, I posted an Instagram story of one of those things when there's numbered questions, and people can choose which ones to ask. He chose a few, and one of them was if I had ever done anything naughty before. Okay, yeah, him asking those kind of questions is like wildly inappropriate. Oh my god, like Jesus Christ, even if you wanted to make the argument like, oh my god, this is like a group of friends who happen to play the same video game or whatever. Can you imagine that? A 30-year-old sending that kind of question to like a 15-year-old girl. That is absolutely insane. No, this guy is like Predator with a big P. I brushed it off because maybe he was just wondering. No, this is creepy. This is super bad. And then during our hangout, he asked if I had any secret talents that no one knew about, which sounded a little suggestive. But I feel like I'm just reaching because I'm a bit uneasy. No, you're not reaching. The fact that you wrote out this text means that your gut feeling is pretty much on point. Something bad is going on, and he is very purposefully trying to isolate you from getting any other sort of input. He's telling you that your mom doesn't have your best interest at heart. He's making sure that no one can see you in public so anyone can intervene and say like, hey, you guys walking here holding hands, wait a second, isn't she 16? You know, he's very purposefully making sure that there is no outside input on whatever he is doing. And he is at the same time manipulating your judgment. He's love bombing you, he's bombing you with compliments, all this kind of stuff. He's acting super sweet, you know, talking about all this kind of stuff, giving compliments, but at the very same time making sure that the only single judgment that exists on him and his actions is you. And he's making sure that he's manipulating you as much as he can, while also isolating any sort of outside opinion. This is what predators and abusers do. This is super bad patterns, and important to talk about, I suppose, because it is very important that people are aware of it. But just to be clear, you haven't done anything wrong. You're a victim of manipulation, okay? And it's important that you talk to people. Report this guy, talk to your parents, block him, and stay safe. The fact that people around you don't know about this makes it way more dangerous. Age of consent in my country is 16, so it's legal, I guess. But I don't know, am I being groomed? Yes, you are being groomed. Just because you're technically of legal age doesn't mean that someone cannot groom you. Even if you were 18 and like a 35 or 40-year-old dude came on to you and, flew you out and isolated you and love-bombed you and then disconnected you from their whole family and stuff, that would still be grooming to get you stuck in an abusive relationship. Grooming is a very wide term in that way and basically only means that you're preparing someone for something. In this case, it's something bad. He is preparing you to isolate you and basically lock you in his basement, figure of speech. So yes, you're being groomed, and just turning 16 doesn't magically remove that, and that is very important to understand. He seems so nice and genuine, and I feel lost. I do really like him. I am scared that I am stupid and naive. Edit, I'm starting to get that I need to get rid of him, but I know it's bad, but I'm struggling to do it. I have no one else to actually talk to about my feelings. No other adult. Edit, I wish I could thank every person who commented, but there's so many. I am surprised the most lovely way how many strangers are willing to help and reply to this issue of mine. Thank you. You guys saved my life. Oh, thank God, that is such a relief. I had a lump in my tummy reading this kind of stuff, but it looks like they took the advice to heart, which is really wholesome to see internet strangers come together and actually help someone through a very, very difficult situation in life. I would still argue, talk to your parents, let them know about this, talk to local law enforcement, because you're probably not the first one he's done this to, and you probably won't be the last. I think it's worth reiterating that people like this really love it when you are isolated. They don't want you to have second opinions. That's why he made so sure that you were isolating your parents. Well, maybe not fully isolating, but at least not asking for their opinion about him and the specific thing, of course with the long-term goal of isolating them completely. That's why he didn't want you to talk to anyone else about it. That's why he made sure that you were loved bombs. He would feel bad about being critical about this, but how can he be bad? He gave me fancy gifts. This is exactly what he wants. This is manipulation strategy and grooming one-on-one. This is really bad, and I'm so glad your gut feeling made you write this post and get advice from other people, because sometimes you need that perspective in life. If anyone tries to tell you that there should be no outside opinions on whatever they are doing to you, 99% of the time they're a piece of shit. Okay? Hi, so I'm a police officer who investigates this stuff in the United States. I am sorry to tell you that this is literally textbook grooming behavior. Please understand that I am not judging you. I will call you neither stupid or naive. Perhaps inexperienced, but that is the worst I will say. He is being everything you want or need him to be, when you need it, but only to sell a fantasy. He is too shy to hold hands, but he will protect you from your mother. Let's break this down a little. You are not 100% sold. You like him, enamored perhaps, but perhaps acting a little shy. He knows if he tries to push things along too hard, you will back away. So he becomes shy. That's when you talk about your mother checking your phone and judging you. You are showing a bit of fear response and he becomes your protector. He says he loves you, but in reality you've only spent very little time together in person. He says he will treat you well, and with a ring measuring strip he is implying a future to you to keep you on the hook. Your instincts are telling you something is wrong. That is why you're questioning, and that is why you are here. I think you should trust him. Please step away from this. Involve your parents, or if you're not comfortable involving your parents, involve some other adults you can trust. I think this comment is very spot on, and basically what I've been saying while I was reading this entire post. A lot of the stuff is very convenient, like he's a protector when you need him to be, he's shy and sweet when you need him to be, he's giving you gifts and stuff when you're feeling like you want to be loved or confused or whatever it might be. He's trying to be the perfect version of what he thinks that you want in the moment, but the moment he has full control of everything and he's managed to isolate you, all of that will go away. That is how people like this operate. Cut him off, involve other adults, make reports if you have tangible evidence of this stuff, and talk to people around you that you trust. Don't stay alone in this sort of situations, okay? That is what the abuser or groomer in this case wants. They love you to be alone because if you get outside opinions, their whole illusion starts cracking. Speaking of more wholesome things, oh my God, he's licking his own foot.
I'm a bit jealous that he's so flexible. Man, I would... I would love to be able to lick my feet. I love my brain sometimes. It's great, isn't it? Oh, he's making himself pretty for the camera. Man, he's such a good boy. Look at that. Oh, man, the cat couch delivers again. I need to install that cat cam, I swear to God. That would improve my views on my content tenfold because I would have an actual main character on my channel. My God. Why is my pee-pee so tiny when flaccid? I mean it when I say tiny. Man, the contrast between the posts is really delivering. It literally looks like a baby pee-pee when I'm cold, exercising, stressed or scared, or just on a walk outside. In those situations, it doesn't even hang, but rather just pokes forward, which I am extremely embarrassed of. Not gonna lie, kinda scared that it's underdeveloped or something, and I am wondering if it's normal. You, my friend, are a member of the Growers Not Showers Club. We are a small but growing group of proud men. I do appreciate me some pee-pee puns, thank you. I mean, this sounds perfectly normal. Sizes and stuff of you're a member, if you're gonna talk like, you know, the beautiful romantic text, can vary a lot depending on mood and temperatures and all kinds of stuff. And if you're having no problems with it during like moments of excitement, so to say, then I would say everything is working perfectly fine. Is it gay to get a model of my pee-pee to... My partner wants to me with it so I can feel what she feels. OP literally wants to frick himself. You're literally being topped by a girl. I don't think that's particularly gay if that's what you're worried about. But also, like, you know, in today's climate and stuff, I think people are way too worried about what is, like, gay and what isn't gay. If it is enjoyable and you're doing it with your partner, who gives a shit? Like... No one cares. The people sitting online chronically complaining about what would be gay hypothetically and what wouldn't, wish they had the intimate life you had. Oh my God, go ham, dude. Why are black men stereotypically more accepting of overweight women? I am saying stereotypically because I do not have statistics off the top of my head to back up this assertion. However, it seems to be true. Based upon my own personal observations, I am a black woman, and I am wondering why. I noticed that white and Asian men typically seem less accepting of overweight women. White men in particular may still date them, of course, and every individual is different. I have indeed met black men who didn't want to date an overweight woman, but I am making a generalization here. I definitely hear white and Asian men complaining about a woman being too fat for them more often than I hear black men complaining about it. I asked a black dude about this one time and he said everything feels like a titty. That is an amazing attitude. Oh my God. I think people that have this sort of attitude have just learned like the secret zen of just winning at life. Oh, that is absolutely amazing. Why does it seem picky eaters are always drawn to junk food? I see this a lot, especially in neurodivergent kids, it seems. A kid goes to a restaurant and will only eat some form of chicken nuggets. Or their only snack will be Cheez-Its. Or they have a meltdown if their sandwiches are cut wrong. Girl I knew had a child on the spectrum, and when we babysat him, I think he was 7, it's been a few years, there was a list of literally like 8 things he would eat, period. And nothing on there was healthy. It was all stuff like mac and cheese, corn dogs, etc. How come I never see a kid that only wants broccoli and rice? Or won't drink anything but water? I mean, aside from the addictive stuff put into most junk food, fresh food typically are never the exact same. They aren't predictable like processed foods. Yeah, that is very true. Processed foods are very comfortable to eat because they are the same everywhere. They're hyper standardized. This is also, for example, true when you're traveling and you just want something reliable, easy to eat, and you see like, oh, there's a burger fast food place, you know, that is a global entity. You know exactly what you're gonna get. The familiarity and the hyper standardization is a very big selling point. Along, for example, with the addictive stuff and a lot of fat and salt and sugars and all that kind of stuff that our body loves because in nature it's kind of rare, but in like society you can very easily overdose on it, so to say, even if your body tells you it's very tasty. Oh, this one is funny, from 3 years ago. Is anyone else like super suspicious of Elon Musk? Man, this aged like wine. I can't really put my finger on it. Maybe it's his explosive wealth, which I don't really understand how he made, or maybe it's his pseudo-bad boy public persona, which strikes me as curated, or maybe it's just something about his face, which it kinda looks like the face of a blind person would draw after feeling a bunch of faces with their hands. Either way, he's off-putting, and I don't trust him. You see that thing I talked about before, about gut feelings and that kind of stuff? Maybe this post is just an online gut feeling that turned out to be kinda right, didn't it? My God, 3 years ago, that really aged like wine, didn't it?
Oh my God, Shimba, do you wanna read a meme? No pressure, but everyone is looking at you.
He sits like a little person, doesn't he?
I think he lived with us humans for too long, and now he just acts like a human. I'm just waiting for the day where he learns to speak like humans. Step number 1, sit in couch like human. Step number 2, all of a sudden he comes in and be like, "Good morning, click. Where is my cat food?" And I'm gonna shit myself, and rightfully so. Does anyone else think that gay characters are forcefully pushed into many series just so the series could be politically correct, on the expense of characters and plot? Okay, so like the series can sell itself on being inclusive instead of actually having a good story. I don't like how virtually all gay men in television and movies are effeminate camp birches. Oh my god, this subreddit is wild, man. Most of us are just regular guys and not the menacing stereotype. In saying that, there is definitely a checkbox of tokenism in a lot of TV shows, which isn't just limited to gay characters. I think a better, more wide argument for this kind of stuff is that inclusivity is very much like CGI, if you want to think about it. You only notice bad CGI because you see like a car flipping that is so obviously poorly data rendered or something like that. But there's so much CGI in movies that you never even notice or think it's CGI because it's actually well done. And I think inclusivity follows like a very similar thing. Good inclusivity is just like a good character and a person, a fully fledged person who just happens to be of a certain demographic or certain gender or what have you. Inclusivity becomes, well, an eyesore is a very weird thing to call it, but it becomes bad when it's inclusivity just for the case of inclusivity, when it's just a soulless corporation that has crammed this like inclusive character into it, not even made them into a fully fledged human, and then expect like to be patted on the back for it when they're even probably misrepresenting the demographic they were trying to virtue signal to. So bad inclusivity is like bad CGI, I suppose. It doesn't feel real because the makers of it didn't do a good job with the character. In the very same way, a crappy CGI car doesn't look real because it's crappy CGI of whoever made it. And I think that goes for a lot of media, so to say. And it's very silly online with this kind of stuff because people lose their minds over it. And you have like the woke mind virus and blah blah blah, where it's like, you can expect like more diversity in video games and movies because the consumer base is much wider nowadays. We have reached a higher level of acceptance and it should be normalized because it is a normal thing. But of course that doesn't mean that, you know, you should let companies get away with just poor representation instead of producing good stories or good representation to begin with, right? So I think it's just people in corporations being lazy with virtue signaling, which basically turns into the inclusivity version of bad CGI, which is just bad overall because for some reason it seems to fan the flames of like woke wars on the internet. But it's also, I would argue, bad for the people they try to represent because it's like, man, are you saying these people are nothing but, for example, the color of their skin or their gender or whatever? That's pretty bad, fam. Why can't you just write the good character that happens to have these characteristics? You know, like a real human. Well, laddies, lasses, and lassos, I do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed having you here, and have an amazing rest of your day because you do deserve it, and I will see you in the very near future. Take care. Mwah.